So this video is going to be all about conventions. It's mainly going to be about VidCon, and that will be after the title break, but this part here is going to be about E3. But before I get to that, first I need to update something. If you may remember, back when I went to WonderCon, I made a chart to kind of keep track of all the people that I talked to during conventions throughout this year. It looked a little something like this. So here's the thing about that. I have actually added another convention to this year, TwitchCon, which is going to be taking place at the Long Beach Convention Center, which is just a few blocks away from where I live. So I needed to add it to the list. So I made a new list. It looks like this. So now we need to go ahead and fill out the E3 section. I have 7 people to add to that section, so let's get into it. First up, from machinima.com, we have Brandon Winfrey and Chloe Dykstra. Machinima.com is a gaming website where I don't really know exactly what they do because I never really look at content on machinima.com. But I know of Brandon and Chloe for other reasons. First off, Brandon used to be the community manager for a game called Sunset Overdrive. And one of the truly unique things that Sunset Overdrive did, it took place in an open world city. And if you went to a TV store, there would be a giant monitor on top of the store, and they would put up monthly community videos on that video within the game. And it was a really interesting and unique idea. And Brandon was the host of those videos. I'd never really met him before, but when I did, I told him how cool I thought that idea was. But then, as for Chloe, I have met Chloe many times before. She's actually one of the people I consider to be kind of a convention friend. I first met her during a live taping of the Nerdist podcast because at the time she was dating Chris Hardwick, and when we were waiting in line to have a meet and greet with Chris Hardwick and Matt Myra and Jonah Ray, I saw her and I was like, oh, hey, Chloe. And I talked to her and she was very, very nice. Next up on the list is Jim Lee, who is, according to his Twitter bio, the DC Entertainment co-publisher. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm pretty sure DC Entertainment means all the movie properties and stuff. Of course, DC Comics is what I'm talking about. Now, to be fair, I didn't really talk to him too much, and in actuality, he just came into the section where I was working E3 and played the game that I was helping show off, and so we didn't really interact too much, but I'm still throwing him on this list because it was something. And speaking of people coming into the area where I was working, the next person on this list is very similar in that aspect, and that is iJustine. Now, iJustine can be considered to be one of the original pioneers of YouTube. She was really like one of the first breakout stars on the platform. She started by making videos where she reviews Apple products, which is hence the iJustine, and she still does that to this day, but she is just kind of a bigwig in YouTube. And then the last 3 people on this list are slightly related in some way. I was walking from one of the halls of the Los Angeles Convention Center to the other, and I was looking at Instagram, and I saw that Kinda Funny was currently live streaming from E3. I knew they were at E3, but I hadn't seen any of them yet. And so I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly where they are. So I headed to where they were, and when I got there, Greg and Tim were doing a review of some kind while Kevin was operating the camera, and then Andy and Nick were off in the back. So I started talking to Andy and Nick, and I'm like, oh, hey, I met you a few weeks ago at Kinda Funny Live. And they're like, oh, yeah, we remember you. And then as I was talking to Andy, this guy walked up. The Dragon. Cisco. If you don't know who Cisco is, he released a little song on the very last day of the 90s, December 31st, 1999, called The Thong Song. You may have heard of that. And then he was also later featured in Will Smith's Wild Wild West, the song that he wrote for the movie Wild Wild West. So yeah, Cisco came up and started talking to Andy, and I was just like, oh, cool, look, Cisco and Andy are talking to each other, because Cisco's kind of a friend with all of the Kinda Funny guys. And then eventually he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What was your name? And I was like, I'm Sean. And he was like, oh yeah, I think I've heard your name before. And I'm not sure when he said that if he meant that he thought that I worked for Kinda Funny, or if he was just stating that he had heard the name Sean before. But yeah, there you go. There are the 7 people that I spoke to at E3 this year, so let's go ahead and add them to the board. That sound effect never gets old to me. Alright, now on to VidCon. Well, actually, day 1 and 2 of VidCon. VidCon is going to be split into 2 different videos. So let's go ahead and get into that. Roll the thing. Hey guys, Sean here. So here we are in the parking garage where it all started, where I filmed this abomination right here that I haven't watched since the day I uploaded it. If you've ever seen that video, basically I call myself a fraud because I had a creator pass to VidCon and I had never actually created anything. So that's why I uploaded that video, so that I didn't feel like such a fraud anymore. And then from that point forward, every week I have released a new video. So here we are, 52 weeks later, and this time with my creator badge, I do not feel like a fraud. I'm really looking forward to the next 4 days, not just because of content, but because of the things that I shall hopefully learn in the various panels that I am able to go to because I have the creator badge. So let's go ahead and start on VidCon 2017. Well, okay, no, actually, we're not going to start on VidCon 2017 right now because it's actually Wednesday. I headed here after work so I could pick up my badge early because I knew it was going to be crazy ridiculous to get the badge in the morning if I waited till then. And right now it was relatively easy. Here, look at how easy it was. Alright, no one here, no one here, no one... Oh, nope, I was looking the wrong direction. Okay, so maybe it did take me like 30 minutes to get my badge, but still, that is much better than the very first time I came to VidCon, because that was like 2 hours. So right now I'm going to head home and get some rest so that I can be back here bright and early in the morning, because the very first panel I want to go to is, I think, the very first panel of all of VidCon, and that is The Gathering of the Nerd Fighters by John Green and Hank Green. So let's go ahead and cut to tomorrow. Here we are, Thursday, June 22nd. It is the first official day of VidCon. One of the strange things about VidCon is that of all the conventions that I go to at the Anaheim Convention Center, I think it's only VidCon and WonderCon, but still, it's the only one where I can actually park in the parking garage. And I think a major reason for that is because most of the people that come here are dropped off because they can't drive, because they're tween girls mostly. As you can see, I've already purchased a new VidCon hat. It has a purple brim. I don't know how I feel about that. But... So the first panel I went to was The Gathering of the Nerd Fighters. It was John and Hank Green's panel. This year they started off the conference with it, which is kind of cool.
This is crazy. How did you do this? I had a lot of help. Okay, none of it was from you, though. I don't know.
John and Hank Green, of course, the founders of VidCon and the Vlog Brothers. I did an entire video about them. It is video number 20, I believe. I'll put a link to it down in the doobly-doo. So the main major thing that happened at this panel is that John Green announced that his new book, he has a new book that's finally coming out. If you don't know who John Green actually is, he is the writer of a bunch of books you've seen if you've ever gone to a bookstore. He wrote Waiting for Alaska, The Fault in Our Stars, and Paper Towns, which the former to have been turned into movies. But I digress. He announced that his new book, I can't remember the title of it right off the top of my head, it has something to do with turtles. It's whatever this says. It's coming out on October 11th, so that's going to be a huge deal for young adult readers. Okay, I am now off to 2 creator track panels. I'm looking at my phone because I have the schedule on my phone. And they take place in the same room, so I'll just be in the same room for like 2 hours now. And the first one is transitioning your channel into a full-fledged business and your rights as a digital creator. So I'll have some footage of that. So let's go ahead and go into those.
My name is Megan Patron. My channel is also Megan Patron, keeping it very simple. Just Megan Patron, not that entire thing. That'd be a very long URL. My elevator pitch, I am a content creator who does comedy, dance, cooking, beauty, kind of an amalgamation of everything I like. What else? I really like French fries, and that's pretty much what my channel revolves around. French fries and comedy and dance.
Alright, so that was transitioning your channel into a full-fledged business. On that panel was Joe Penna, Megan Batoon, Mindy McKnight, Thomas Ridgewell, and Phil Ranta. Oh, and Benji Travis. I only really knew of Joe Penna and Megan Batoon. It was interesting, but the main takeaway from it was I don't have enough views or subscribers to actually turn this into a career. Next up is your rights as a digital creator, and that is going to have Bernie Burns from Rooster Teeth. I know who he is. Then Coran McSherry and Joshua Lemel. I don't know who they are, but it should be interesting. And then after that, there's the 2 major panels. These are the 2 panels that I complained about the most last year because they had them in very small rooms in that hotel over there. And these were easily what would have been the biggest panels, and they should have been in the biggest room possible to have the most people. So this year they're in the main room where pretty much anyone that is at the show can go to them. And that is the Q&A with Markiplier, and then the Q&A with the Holy Trinity, which is Grace Helbig, and Hart, and Mamrie Hart. Currently, my most viewed video on my channel is from Markiplier walking into that panel last year. It has like over 2,000 views, and it's like 10 seconds long. Yeah. Let's go back in.
Hello, everyone. There's still people coming in. Strike in. Feel free to take a seat. Welcome to our panel on DMCA and copyright. This is presented by the Internet Creators Guild. My name is Bernie Burns. I'm a YouTube creator. My channel, Rooster Teeth, has about 9 million subs. Thank you very much. There's one right there. And I have a long history of producing content online, which means I have a long history of dealing with copyright. In particular, the first show I ever created is now the longest running web series on the internet. It's called Red vs. Anyone. It just went to its 15th season, and it's a show that I started back in 2003. I used the multi-billion-dollar franchise, the Halo video game, to create stupid.
So that Markiplier Q&A was a little crazy. I think my favorite part was when he said he hates the term influencer because he doesn't believe that he can actually influence people to do anything. Oh, Markiplier. So naive. It's probably a good thing he doesn't realize just how big of an influencer he is, because the power that he has is undeniable and frightening. Well, lucky for all of us, he's like a really good dude, so. Alright, we are 24 minutes from the Trinity Q&A. I should probably eat something at some point today. Ah. So after the Trinity panel, I went and I ate, and then I went to a online comedy panel. Can't remember exactly what it was called. Memory Heart was on that panel as well, along with Jax Films, Wheezy Waiter, Lee Newton, the guy that plays wrestling Fred, I can't remember his name. It was good. And now I'm leaving so I can come back tomorrow. So many things planned for tomorrow. That's right, the video's not done yet. So, cut to tomorrow. It is day 2 of VidCon 2017, and after editing the video last night, I realized I really need to be recording sound every single time that I shoot anything in this entire convention. Also, all my stuff outside yesterday was incredibly boring, so if you're still watching this video, I am very grateful for that fact. I am here at the Twitter community stage, which is what that giant banner there says that you can't see because it's washed out right now. And Philip DeFranco and Steve Zaragoza are supposed to be here to do a Q&A at 9:30, which is in 9 minutes. I've only been watching Philip DeFranco's videos for like maybe 6 months now. Probably not even that much, maybe like 3 months, but he's one of the few people that I watch every single day now as a result of it. He has one of the few news programs which are basically very like straight down the middle, like just the facts only, and every now and then he'll put his own opinion on it, but really he leaves it up to the comments to really discuss. There's another interview with him later, I believe, in the creator track that is going to be conducted by Hank Reed, so that's going to be even better than this is going to be. But anyway, here's Philip DeFranco walking in, and then we'll head to the next thing.
Oh, yeah! What is up, everybody? Oh, man. Welcome to VidCon 2017. Is everybody having a great time? Yay! Alright, so I'm going to do this so fast because I want to get Phil out here so that we can get through your questions, answer as many as possible. We're just going to rush it through. We're not going to rush it. It's going to be fun, right? Calm down, alright, sir? Just cool it. Alright, guys, welcome the man, the myth, and the legend, the Founder Franco!
Hello, were you about to run away?
I didn't want to steal your spotlight.
Thank you. This is going to look so lonely up here. I want to say, yeah, thank you for coming out. I know that it's a Friday, it's 9:30. I know a lot of people might be a little bit hungover, although the audience is younger and younger, or I'm older and older, I can't tell.
So we're now in the YouTube arena here. If you take a look around, this is where the John and Hank panel from the very first day was. They're not really panels in here, they're more like shows. I'm here now to see Colleen Ballinger / Miranda Sings. Not sure which one will come out first. It's a little weird that there's two chairs out there since they are technically the same person. If they somehow manage to find a way to have them both on stage at the same time, that's going to be very interesting. She's one of the people I'm most impressed with when she does the split screen videos between her and Miranda Sings. It's like truly flawless, and I don't know how she does it. The few split screen videos I've made, I'm just like, it's just mesmerizing how she manages to do it with just like as a YouTube creator. The best way I found to do it was to just have a Google Hangout, and that was kind of cheating it in a way. That all being said, this should be entertaining.
Chris Ballinger. Hey, I'm Corey.
I know you're all waiting for Miranda Sings, but oh no. Well, first let's bring to the stage Colleen.
Children, big fan. I'm going to kind of explain the costume to you. This shirt, I already explained, but it's also Miranda's going to be glam because I'm wearing lashes. So anyway, sorry, I'm so like a squirrel. The cat sweaters my mom made for me, which I explained. The pants came from, I used to only wear skirts as Miranda, which you can see on Haters Back Off. I'm always wearing skirts. But then I did a performance at a gay bar late one night, and it was back when no one really knew who I was. And the stage was like up in the air, really high, and it was a glass stage. And so people would be able to see up my skirt. So I needed to put on pants. So episode 4 of Haters Back Off, where Patrick and Uncle Jim and Miranda go to the gay club, is based on what actually happened to me. And I went into my car, the actual story is I went to my car, found pajama pants, like Christmas pajama pants. And I threw them on and went on stage. And everyone hated the pants, like no one knew who I was on the show aside from like 5 people. And so they were like heckling me and screaming like, ew, you have a camel toe, and like making fun of me. And so I was like, I'll keep them the pants, I hate them. And the shoes are because I used to do shows in the white tennis shoes, but then I couldn't do a quick change fast enough from, what's happening? Oh, you see me on my shoes? Okay. So anyway, I couldn't do the quick change fast enough, so I started doing shows barefoot, and I would get splinters in my feet from all the old stages I was performing on many years ago. So I needed a shoe that was lightweight, easy to put on, and really ugly, and Crocs are the winner of those. The hair, which I will need help with, Miss Ballinger, is the only thing that's like stayed the same with Miranda. Everything else has changed a lot. If you look at the videos from 10 years ago, it's like a totally different person. But my hair has always been the middle part, and it's because I've got a big forehead, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to like accentuate my not so pleasant features on my face. And making my forehead look really huge is not as flattering as other hairstyles. The lipstick is because back when I started doing Miranda, I didn't have fans, I only had haters. People hated me online. And I thought that was so fascinating that people hated me so much and would leave such horrible comments. So I was like, well, whatever they don't like, I will do more. And one thing they didn't like was how I was applying my lipstick, so I put more on, and then it became a pink, and then it was a heavy lip gloss, and then it turned into a red lipstick, and I just kept applying more and more because I kept getting comments from people saying how they hated my lipstick. So the lipstick kind of came from the haters. That's Miranda, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I love me too.
All right, we're going to ask you some questions, Miranda.
I know.
What is Miranda's favorite flavor? Crunchy, squishy, chewy, gross?
None of the above. My favorite flavor is meat.
Zane, getting through these questions quickly.
Do you still have people thinking that you're the hater Colin Ballinger?
I don't know a Colin. People thinking I'm a hater. I'm not a hater. I love myself, so I actually have no idea what I'm talking about.
Bays or froze toes? You can only...
So after watching the Colleen Ballinger Miranda Sings Q&A in the YouTube arena, I am now 100% convinced that she is schizophrenic and that she has complete and utter control of her other personality. That's the only explanation for how she is able to so seamlessly transition between the two of them. Because honestly, once she puts on the costume, it's a different person on the stage. It's just 100% a different person. Either that or she's just exceptionally talented, which is probably more likely. So now I'm going to go to a creator track panel. I'm looking at the who's on it, and then also I'm recording with my phone too. So this is a little double multitasking with my phone. So this panel is visual effects, making your video look like $1 million. And Brandon Lashy, Clinton Jones, Freddie Wong, Nico Piringa, Sam Gorski, and Bayon Junim are going to be on it. Freddie Wong and Brandon Lashy, I believe Brandon Lashy is, they are the co-founders of Rocket Jump. They do amazing special effects videos. I've met Freddie Wong before, like 2 or 3 times. And if you've seen in some of my older videos, I like to dabble a smidge in special effects, so this will be a really interesting panel. So let's head back into that.
Yes.
Yeah, except the movie.
So that was a very interesting panel. I wouldn't say that I necessarily learned anything from it, but it did make me excited to try new visual effects in videos later down the line. As for now, I was going to go to another panel, but I've decided to call an audible and not go to that one and possibly go eat and then get in line for the Philip DeFranco, Hank Green fireside chat, because I have a feeling that's going to be really hard to get into, because the panel I just went to was full when I first got there, and they were only letting people in if people left. So that's like an hour and a half from now, so I should go eat and then go get in line. So that's what we're going to do.
Surprise chairs. Hello, everyone. This is a really tall table. Maybe we should just hold our mics, man.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little less awkward. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Hank.
Welcome.
Monetization there, but there are a lot of different levers people can pull that I don't think they actively pull right now.
Interestingly, so people aren't pulling the levers that they could be pulling?
I think a lot of the time, and it's also a little bit out of fear. I think that every creator feels really confident, and then at some point they've gotten hit by their audience, and then they've gotten freaked out.
Right.
And because there are a lot of people that tried to do the Patreon jump, and they didn't control the conversation, and they lost it, and they got smacked right in the face. Or they tried to launch a shirt not in the best way, and maybe they're one of those creators that they're like the Lambo tubers, where they just like they show off one and then they try and make it another way. And so if you're trying to make a business, show off that aspect. If you just want to kind of flaunt it, you're kind of screwing yourself.
I've always been interested, so of course brand deals are a big part of how a lot of creators make money. I've always sort of been interested, this is just me talking now, I don't expect you to have an answer to this, but you're allowed to comment.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but there's always been a little bit of me that's like, why am I giving this value to this other company?
So I ended up getting in the room where the Philip DeFranco, Hank Green panel was, like basically an hour before the actual panel. And I ended up watching the BuzzFeed Digital panel, which I was interesting. I mean, honestly, I could watch any panel at this entire convention and I would find it interesting. And then, of course, the Philip DeFranco, Hank Green panel was great as well. I was really kind of surprised to see that Philip DeFranco, like, waited afterwards and was meeting with people. Because it's a little scary at conventions like this. As you saw when I was going down the escalator there, that was frightening. I have no idea what that was about. I'm now at the gaming stage. I can't remember if it's sponsored. I'm sure it's sponsored by someone. Nope, it's just called the VidCon Gaming Stage. And Bernie Burns from Rooster Teeth is going to be here running a game of $1 Million But. It's a tabletop card game that they have created. It's a lot like Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples or one of those types of games. And also playing this game is supposed to be Gavin Free, who is also from Rooster Teeth, and then Freddie Wong, who you saw earlier, and Justine, who I mentioned earlier in this video during the opening part because of E3, and then Markiplier and Philip DeFranco again, so should be crazy good time.
Australia this year, we held a $1 Million live event, and the audience came with some amazing $1 Million scenarios. How many of y'all know the game or the show? Great, great. So I'll be out in the audience between rounds. We're going to ask you all to come up with some amazing scenarios to present to our panel. But first, let me introduce co-creator of $1 Million But, Mr. Gavin Free. So, Gavin, yes, this show and this game were born out of your ridiculous scenarios that you would present to us on the podcast.
Yeah, I was bored.
And so, Gavin, while we were on the set for our movie Laser Team, would constantly harass us with these incredible scenarios, like you get, was it $10 million?
Yeah.
You get $10 million, but for the rest of your life, a snail is headed right for you. And if it touches you, you die. And the question is, would you take the $10 million? And our discussions of that are what led to this amazing show, and that led us to make this card game. So let's bring out our panel of guests. We're going to play the card game $1 Million But. Please welcome, first off, Miss Justine. Hi, Justine.
Hello.
Also, please welcome one of our longtime friends and great collaborator, Mr. Freddie Wong.
Yeah. All right. Very hard stage.
And now, as he comes out, I'm going to flex so I can pretend it's for me, Mr. Markiplier. It was. All right, you are lovely esteemed panelists, so please take your seats. You know, one other thing I gotta say, Mark, I really appreciate you all playing $1 Million Blood on a live stream, and it was the heaviest day of traffic we had on the site after the Kickstarter. It was the heaviest day of traffic that we had because you guys played it. So in that spirit, I'm going to be out in the audience between rounds. And Gavin, if you want to explain the rules of the game while you guys play the first round, I'll be out there asking y'all for some scenarios.
And it was at that moment that this camera ran out of power. Luckily, I had the Lumix with me just in case that should happen. So a few last minute things. First off, earlier today I tweeted out, I love VidCon for the fact that it is a bunch of late 20s, early 30s people just cursing in front of very young children, like ages 8 to like, well, 18. And then the ironic thing is, I go to the $1 Million Butt panel and they just took it to a whole new level. The fact that someone decided that it was a good idea to play that game at VidCon in front of all the tweens was, oh, it was excellent. That game is so dirty. And then there at the end, as you saw as I was walking out, I ran into Brizzy Voices. And I got to keep the now 3-year tradition alive in having her sign my VidCon badge. So this is the third year I've been to VidCon that she has signed my badge. Anyway, that is going to do it for VidCon 2017 Day 2, and that is going to do it for this video. Last night, I went home and I edited all the footage from yesterday, Day 1, and with all of the stuff from E3 and everything, this video was up to 23 minutes by that point, so with all the stuff from today, this is easily over 30 minutes long. But the funny thing is, a lot of the YouTube creators on these panels are always talking about how the YouTube algorithm leans more towards longer videos than shorter videos nowadays, so I guess it pays for videos to be longer. I don't really understand how that's possible. Probably when you're first starting out, that's probably not the best idea, but unfortunately, that's just kind of how I do them. So, if you've made it this far into the video, thanks, Mom. I think you're probably one of the only people that actually have. And also, you might be saying, but Sean, there's Day 3. What about Day 3? Well, that's going to be next week. Because not only is there Day 3, there is also Disney Day, which is on Sunday. Yes, more of this, I know. And so, with that, have a good however long it is until you watch my next video.